let's do this.
What are you guys going to rant and rave
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the VOD Squad, the show where we talk about streaming devices, content, providers, anything that you like to watch when you get around to it. I'm Clyde, and today I am joined by Jimmy Trammell, all the way from Hurricane Irma. It was Irma, right? Not Irwin.
It was a crocodile.
They didn't have any alligator nados like getting sucked up and no.
Yeah, I was hoping.
Oh, she's a beauty.
No Sharknadoes or anything like that.
All right. We've also got Michael Aston. What's going on, Mike?
Hello.
And Matthew Ross.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. How you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Oh, good.
Doing well since I survived the hurricane.
Yeah, we have to talk about it. I don't think we can avoid that conversation. Jimmy, you're alive.
I am, and I have power.
Good. Okay, we're good. We're done. If you don't want to talk about it anymore, that's all I have to say.
Well, thank you for joining us for our hurricane coverage. With that, I think we could probably call it, It's short up. I mean, nothing else happened this week, so.
No, not really.
This was a pointless week. There was no reason to even, look into the news about cord cutting or anything. Absolutely nothing of consequence.
Nope.
You are all teasing very much so, but I actually feel a little bit that way.
Well,
so
maybe one more thing happened.
Oh, no!
Well, I mean, obviously nothing came out from Apple because Jimmy's actually here. Yeah. He's never here for Apple announcements, so you can all rest assured there was nothing from Apple.
Mysteriously, he's not here. I don't know why. And then next week he shows up, look what I got. Oh, yeah. It's like, oh, okay.
Hey, but what is eventful, probably, is the fact that this is our last show direct over the Muffin CDN to Diamond Club TV.
Huh.
Without which we probably couldn't have done this at all because, last year this time we didn't really, you couldn't stream to Twitch. You could do YouTube Live, but unless you've got a massive following like Tom Merritt, it's kind of hard because, who tunes into YouTube live? Live? You get an alert and then you rush to your computer and.
Well, no, I'm just like Twitch. I go, I feel like watching and flip through. That looks good.
All right.
Pick on it.
Yeah, I got to say the only thing that I ever watch on YouTube Live is DTNS, and typically I'm not watching either because I'm at work.
I'll
listen to it.
I catch DTNS live on occasion.
Yeah.
It's right at that time that I may be deciding to finish the day from home, but if I stick at work, then I usually try to catch a little bit of it.
Yeah, absolutely. But on that note, if there's anybody out there from the beginning or that helped us with the Jackie and Sergeant Muffin and everybody, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
On the bright side, DCTV is not going away. There is a replacement coming, thanks to our great buddy T2T2 and help from Dark Redeemer and W. Scottus and Ethan Kane and everybody that, met and talked and butted heads. And so there is something coming, but...
Hey, all. Thank you.
That being said, I think next week we will be on Twitch.
All right.
We're a week out. I should probably know this for sure by now. But
All right. Well, let's plan for Twitch next week. We'll see.
yeah, just watch the at DCTV Twitter account, and we'll make the official announcements there so that people know. But hey, with that, why don't we move on to some news? What do we got there?
Well, actually, we don't have too much news this week. Really, not much really happened as far as news goes. Maybe one big story, but besides that, really wasn't too much on my radar this week. We did get a big story coming out of cord cutting news that we actually are seeing a huge possibility of growth in the cord cutting market in the next 4 years. A possibility of up to 22 million more cord cutters by 2021, and we should see about a 10% drop or more of subscribers of cable. So this is cord cutter finally becoming a real thing. It's really actually kind of a cool little story.
That's awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not really all that much of a news to us guys who are cord cutters, right? But I mean, I think it's going to continue that pace. I think it'll probably go about that pace. We'll see a few percentage points every year. The only thing that I kind of fear, with it growing like this, is the change. Are the providers out there, such as the Hulus, the Netflix, are they going to start being like, cable television? Are they going to start airing commercials and that kind of thing?
Well, they already do.
Well, a little bit, yeah, but there's ways around it. I mean, there's the DVR services that you can have, and like in Hulu's case, you pay just a few bucks more every month, and you get it commercial free.
Absolutely,
right?
Well, and that's one of those things that even if you don't think it's worth it, once you try it, that $3 a month, you don't even notice it anymore.
So I do notice that you don't have commercials.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
But I foresee that this actually gets to a point where the advertisers go, hey, we can't advertise anywhere because everybody's paying for no ad service, and we need to be able to send advertisements to people. And so they either start getting creative or they start pushing back hard against these streaming companies saying, we have to be able to push some type of ad somewhere, help us out. And so I'm curious how that will affect us in the future, truly.
I think that, that's a good point because, right, like YouTube offers YouTube Red, which it removes a lot of the advertising. Hulu offers their $3 extra. Netflix just doesn't have commercials. So yeah, same thing with Prime. So I think that's interesting. However, I do feel like the advertisers don't really have any sway in those markets. That's the problem for them, is if the company that is showing the content is able to monetize in a different way, like YouTube or Hulu charging a few extra dollars, right? They charge a few extra bucks. They can then take that little bit of extra money and divide it up against all the shows that people are watching and effectively pay the producers the same that they would have made off of the advertising revenue. So it's a perfect solution. The advertisers don't have much sway in that. They have to move more strongly to things that they've already really been moving to anyways, like product placement, ad shows, content that you want to watch. That's one of the strong things about like YouTube is if you've ever, I don't know, maybe you haven't, but I have seen like the banner ad on YouTube and like actually clicked to see the video because it looked like it was going to be a funny or interesting video. And it's an ad, but it is made as original content to be interesting and engaging. Kind of like the Super Bowl commercials, right? The Super Bowl commercials are so exciting. People watch the Super Bowl to see the commercials, or at least. So I think that what it does is it puts the onus on the advertisers to produce content that people actually want to see.
Well, yeah. Perfect example. About a week ago, I was up at my parents' house. The TV was on. A commercial came on but I wasn't quite sure if it was a commercial or an infomercial. And I wasn't going to sit around long enough to find out. So I just turned off the TV.
Right.
It was like, I don't even want to wait long enough to find out, is this just a 2-minute commercial? Or is this going to waste a whole bunch of my time? And, but that's a symptom of, people have been bombarded by these commercials for so long, and these advertisers have gotten comfortable thinking, hey, we don't need to innovate, we don't need to do anything new, because hey, we got to figure it out. And they're starting to feel that, and you know what, it's okay, there are other ways.
I'm all for these creative commercials that are good stories way of doing things. I mean, them being creative and making these funny little bits that make us laugh or make us think, that's great. I got no problem with that. But I still don't think it's that's how it's going to work. And apparently, I'm talking with my mouth, not moving.
Well, you're talking with your mouth?
Without moving.
No legitimate.
So apparently my picture is extremely frozen.
Yeah. So
just a little bit.
Like a video that I saw the other day, it was like one of those YouTube commercials before a music video, and it was, you can skip it in 5 seconds. But they designed the commercial in such a way, it was for like Purple, which is like a bed company. And it was just a ridiculous commercial where they were dropping plexiglass with eggs attached to the bottom of the plexiglass onto the bed and showing how their bed doesn't break the eggs. And I mean, it's totally ridiculous, but I watched like 8 minutes of commercial because it was engaging enough and it caught me quick enough that I went ahead and watched it. That's the thing that they're starting to realize. And obviously, I mean, companies like this that are innovating and that are being creative on social media are finding ways to catch eyes, despite the fact that traditional advertising isn't going to just work much longer. And I think you're right. It's just not going to work. There's nothing they can do about it. And I don't think that they have enough leverage to keep it going.
No.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they'll innovate or something. I mean, what was it, like about a little over a year ago when they used to talk about the second screen advertising and that kind of thing. So if you're watching streaming content, especially for millennials, right? They always have the second screen going on. So perhaps they could advertise that way, but I don't know. I mean, it would have to be some sort of innovation like that.
Okay, we're gonna go to the three-way in 3, 2, 1. Go away. You can't get him to go away. All right. So, okay, we'll just have to go with the broken screen for a minute, but there, we'll go to that.
There you go, Mike.
Jimmy's partly cut off.
Oh, here we go.
There we go.
I'll lean this way. Oh, there you go.
That
you
works. Yeah. While he's gone. Yeah. Like I was saying. Stop breaking my screen.
Evil laptop still spinning wheel though.
Yes.
What a dastardly thing to do.
But as I was saying, with any industry, there comes a point where if you don't innovate, you will die. Just look at print media. And I'm going back to two-way.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's there.
I am here, but I'm trying. I'm about to disconnect and hang up and see what I can do about this. I'll be calling you guys back in just a minute or two.
All right.
Excellent. Rock on.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
I'm waving and you can't see it.
We're waving too. All right. No, yeah, he's not gone yet. See, that's one thing about Skype. It takes forever for that picture of the person that hung up to actually go away. And so, I guess we could probably move on to the next story then, which is Fubo is announcing a 500-hour DVR option.
For $10 a month. That's
$10
quite
a
a lot.
month.
That's quite a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Well-
You know, I mean, because they announced their sports stuff recently, and now they've actually got a DVR, so they are now ahead of, would you say, DirecTV?
Yes, I do think so. I mean, I think for me, the key feature of any streaming service is a DVR. I mean, channel lineup is important, but because most of them have the key channels that I think the majority of people care about, really it kind of gets back down to feature set. And DVR is the key feature, right? Like, it is the thing that matters the most to the most people.
Hey, you're back.
It's actually really back this time.
Yay!
Wow.
You're done breaking the screen.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
And we're
I
on the Fubo story now.
So we're
Isn't
talking.
this pretty amazing what they're doing here? That they've got an introductory offer for the first 2 months to give you a $20 service for basically a pretty big sports package, and then on top of that, they're going ahead and going to drop $10 for you to get 500 hours of recording, which is plenty of hours. And then on top of that, they've got this hilarious commercial, which you should all check out.
Yeah. As W. Scottis one points out, 500 gigs is good, but it doesn't beat YouTube's unlimited DVR.
True, it doesn't.
Well,
That's true.
but this is realize. I mean, it is 500 hours, right? Not
Yeah.
500. Yeah.
Oh, I misspoke. I
You
meant
said 500 gigs would not be good.
no. I was.
Though it may be comparable to what your cable box company is putting in front of you, because they are pretty ridiculous what they put in
You
front
know
of
what?
you.
I want to say that was probably 500 gigs is about what my TiVo was that I just sold, and I still got a couple $100 for it, and it's like almost 10 years old. But yeah,
Because it has nothing to do with the hardware.
Yeah, I never ran into a problem with that with ability to store or run out of storage. So, but yeah, no, 500 hours. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, I think that while this is, when you said that's a lot, Jimmy, were you referring to the price of $10 a month, or to the number of hours?
Yeah, I was talking about the number of hours. 500 hours is a lot, right? I mean, my guess is because this is sports centric, right? Because of football season coming up, and they know that a lot of people's going to be recording games there.
Yeah, a lot of games, right? Like, I know, my cousin watches like every game that shows on TV pretty much. It's kind of insane, but so yeah, I mean, there are people that will definitely want that much, and then there's people like me that I would record whole seasons of shows so that my kids could watch any episode that they want whenever they want to. I do think that $10 a month is pretty reasonable when you really think about comparing this to the standard traditional cable route. You usually pay $10 a month per box. So per DVR that you want to have in your house, you're going to have to pay $10 a month to rent that. And that doesn't count all of the service features. So it's pretty comparable to that. Now, as long as you can stream that DVR service to multiple TVs simultaneously, then that's a really good deal, in my opinion. And by really good deal, I mean it's a really good deal compared to traditional cable. PlayStation Vue still offers 28 days as part of the package, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, does Fubo offer 4K?
I am
streaming
not
at
certain.
all?
At this point, I don't know if it's clear. I think we may need to try Fubo at some point now that they're actually got stuff going on. But yeah, I don't think I've read anything about 4K content.
Right.
Yeah.
I do not remember it having that, and that is usually a feature that I look at since it's something that matters to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, any other thoughts on the Fubo thing? I'm happy to see them progressing as fast as they, because I think, what was it, back in November was like the first time anybody had really kind of thought about them or heard of them.
Two things. A, they are pushing hard into the market, and that's awesome because we need more people in the market. And now that they've got a commercial on TV, they're going to get more market mind share, which is pretty cool. B, now there's going to be a sports-centric channel and a everything but sports-centric streaming service. I forget what they're called, but they're working on that too. So you can buy both of these and have everything, right?
Oh, I just saw something. I brought up the Fubo website to see whether or not they've got 4K, and I saw something I've never seen before. They have a 72-hour look back for something that you forgot to hit record.
Right.
That's cool.
PlayStation View has that feature.
Okay, does it?
I don't know if it's a full 72 hours, but they call it catch-up.
Oh, okay.
You can do catch-up on any show.
What if I prefer mustard?
Yeah. It's a cool feature. It saved me a couple of times when football games ran over and didn't get recorded the last hour. And so then you just catch up on the show that showed after that, and you're fine.
And thank you, W. Scottish in the chat room. He looked up and says that Fubo actually, the max resolution is 1080p.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Good enough
Thank
for
you.
me.
I'm certain they'll get the 4K eventually. They'll probably be working on it. Wait, they're brand new. This is give them a break, guys. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason why I asked that, because I think ESPN is streaming some of their content in 4K now, and and I view them as a ESPN competitor.
I think they carry ESPN, don't they? Okay.
So right now, so we can say they have one of the Ks. They just need to pick up 3 more.
Okay. There you go.
All right. Well, I guess with that, should we move on to the deep dive?
Rants and raves, right?
Rants and raves. Yeah, it's it. You know, I've got kind of a rant, kind of a rave this week, but unless there's something else that Jimmy really wants to talk about.
Well, you know, September the 12th was a pretty big day.
What happened?
Is that the day that Irma hit you? No,
that was on the 9th.
On the 9th. I can't figure out what it was.
Well, Apple had an event, and they announced the new Apple TV. And the new Apple TV is, as was rumored, 4K now.
Yeah, it's kind of sad because they actually were going to make this big announcement, and the rumors were all right because the leak came a couple days beforehand, and everything was let go. Everything was
well, I mean, not to mention that everything was already figured out from the update package that was on another device. So, I mean, all the specs were already there. So, you know, that was a month ago.
Yeah. Some of that was, but apparently the Golden Master of iOS 11 came out, and people were taking the Golden Master of iOS 11 and reverse engineering it, using that reverse engineering in order to get all kinds of cool data out of it. And apparently somebody leaked out there exactly where to look inside the code in order to get the juicy details of the new stuff, including items that Apple did really announce that probably would have been a big surprise to everybody if the news wasn't 24 hours and 72 hours ahead of Apple's actual release date.
Yeah.
Right.
But so the new Apple TV, that's got HDR and Dolby Vision, right?
Correct.
HDR10 and Dolby Vision are the two HDR standards it's supporting out of the box.
Yeah, one thing I do like about the new Apple TV, it's got that A10 Fusion chip in there, which is a quad-core chip.
That's amazing because that box is only $179. That chip is inside of an iPad Pro, and how much does that start at? $600? Something like that?
Yeah, but what is
Something
cost?
like
What is the actual cost?
Well, I know.
Yeah.
But the iPad Pro, sure, has a screen on top and a battery inside, but besides that, pretty much those two are going to be pretty similar on the inside for the most part.
Well, you know, they could take a cut on this because they're going to make it up from their $1,000 iPhones.
Yeah, and also their all the apps that they can sell and all that. I know, but in the movies that they want to sell. But I'm just impressed that Apple isn't charging $300 for this thing. Thank you, Apple, for not dinging us that much.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you want to, however you want to take
I agree.
that.
Yeah, I mean
I'm not impressed by the fact that they have kept the price comparable to every other comparable device on the market. It's still more expensive than any other device that does effectively the same thing. So that does not impress me. That seems like they didn't really have a choice.
Well, I mean, you do get an impressive quad-core chip inside there. I mean, there are some technology there that other guys don't have. I would say that I'm not quite sure how many cores the Roku has in it, but I would venture to say it's probably not quad-core.
Right. I don't disagree but the real question is, what is the value of that? I mean, I've used the Roku and I've used the Fire TV, and the performance on those devices, including with HDR and 4K, well, not necessarily HDR, but 4K, the image quality is extremely good. The responsiveness is extremely fast. There's no noticeable delay for buffering or anything like that. So it is a more powerful chip, but putting a more powerful chip in a device does not necessarily increase its value if the increased power is not necessary.
Yeah, I want to say the Google TVs have had, for a while, have had quad-core processors. But the difference being that, like a Roku, like with the Roku, all you're doing is running a single app at a time. You don't have a whole bunch of stuff streaming in the background. Like the thing that would be comparable would be, I'd say, probably an Android TV. Where you do have videos playing on your home screen for the previews and the recommendations and stuff like that. I'm looking to see if I can confirm that, but
just as a side note, even the Roku stick has a quad-core processor.
Oh, does it?
Okay.
Just to give you a comparison, though. Now,
maybe that's what's required to make it 4K.
Right. Yeah. It may be necessary to handle decoding 4K in real time, but and that doesn't mean that it's as powerful, right? There's a huge variety of power in a quad-core processor, but.
And my point was trying to be that it's the A10, which is the late, maybe not
the latest and greatest.
It's one of the latest and greatest chips that Apple has, and it's pretty powerful. So to be able to get that A10 processor in there and still keep it relatively about the same price as what it was the generation before, I think is pretty good value, right? Just in talking about the hardware.
Yeah. And remember, this is not the most expensive streaming box out there. You can still buy the NVIDIA Shield, which is $200 to $300, depending on what you get. But it's also just kind of like the Apple box, kind of aiming to be more than just a streaming box.
Well, the Shield is a gaming box. It's a console, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. So that it's built like you would build a gaming PC, in the fact that with a eye to the specs and premium
and
pricing.
Apple wants you to think, and they might be right because their processor is fairly decent at graphics, that this is also a gaming box. The question is, can they get over the current, everybody looks at it and goes, yeah, but I like playing on my phone or on my computer or on my console. Why do I play with this middleware thing?
In this is one case where I will probably defend them, because my favorite thing about the Android TV is the gaming. It's like there's some phone games like Riptide or Asphalt 8 that are so much better on the big screen with the controller, and it feels just like a lot of my Xbox 360 games did. They look great. So I don't know if the market's there, but
gaming on these streaming devices, I think, at least at this point, right, is more of a novelty. Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see maybe somewhere in the future to where maybe they'll be on par with the gaming consoles, perhaps.
Well,
but right now, today, I still say it's a bit more of a novelty.
I actually wouldn't say it's a novelty. That's why I was saying that on the Android TV, I think that's where it shines. Really shines is with the gaming, because you can do some really cool stuff, and it looks great. So there's with the hardware that I read about on the new Apple TV. Hopefully they can kind of do the same thing.
Well, the Apple TV remote, the one that's built in, has the motion traction and has a touch surface.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a Wii remote.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. But again, that's pretty good for casual games. Really, if Apple was smart, they'd put a bowling game on this thing, and they'd sell millions, right?
Well,
hey, that's what we did.
I know.
I mean, you can also buy the regular game controllers that connect to the Apple TV as well.
Apple sells on their site the SteelSeries Nimbus Wireless, which is an actual gaming controller.
Don't forget that Fire TV did exactly this thing, though, right? Like Fire TV offered the game bundle, which included a Bluetooth controller that was Xbox style controller, and it had a fair variety of games that came with it. You got 2 free games when you purchased it in the gaming bundle. Plus, you could buy games from the Google Play Store. Mm-hmm. So this is not new at all, and it's not even new in this price point. Again, Apple, the Fire TV comes in underneath by a significant margin for price.
Yeah, I can play games on my Roku.
The reality is that I don't disagree, though, that these are good prices, and for all of them, right? The Fire TV is also a quad core, and this is a quad core, and the A10 is a really high-end processor, and you see that in a lot of cell phones that cost $400 and $500. So to see it coming in at $180 is not a bad deal. I'm just saying that I also think that they could not go much higher than that because they are in a competitive market. And even with this device, it gets them, in my opinion, it gets them on par with the existing hardware that's out there. Now, you could argue that it is a little bit better, but really, they're finally catching up with Fire TV, with Roku Ultra, and stuff like that. Those are $100 devices that offer a very comparable feature set, including the 4K.
Right.
They do not have the Dolby HDR or the other or the standard HDR. So there are some features here that you can't get with the other streaming devices, but there's not a lot. Most of what they have done here is get caught up to the current generation of other devices.
And to be fair, Mike, I agree with that assessment that it is a little bit of catch up here, on Apple's part. But I don't know, when I look at it more of the ecosystem, right? And I mean, I'm a nerd at heart. I like all gadgets that come out, not just Apple's, right? Although I'm in the Apple ecosystems, that's what I buy mostly, and it's because I've been buying content since 2004. Mm-hmm. So that's the main reason why. And there's just nothing compelling enough over in other ecosystems to make me want to switch yet. I mean, I think that Fire TV, I think, is just as good as the Apple TV. So is the Roku. So is Android TV, right? Well, but I just don't see anything compelling enough to make me want to, buy the content all over again, for another ecosystem.
This is a place where Apple, in my opinion, has done something that is impressive, and that's saying something. For me to agree that Apple did something impressive or good, even that's saying something. I think
we are recording this, right?
I'm blown away. This part will probably be redacted, though.
But you make a good point here with the ecosystem. Apple, with this announcement, the big news, right? Like, can I crack the news?
Oh, absolutely, go for it.
Go right ahead.
If you bought it in HD, they're going to give you free upgrade on all of that content to 4K. So that's pretty outstanding.
That's cool.
Amazon didn't do that. Roku hasn't done well. Roku doesn't really.
Yeah,
have
you
the
don't buy
market
content from
Well,
Roku.
Yeah, but Amazon didn't do that for me, right? Like I own a lot of HD content, and they did not give me 4K versions of that when I bought a Fire TV.
Spot on. And to me, too, I agree with you, Mike. I think that was the biggest news, right?
I agree.
I mean, okay, we come out with a 4K box. Well, we knew that was rumored for a while. We all kind of expected that. We did not expect to all the HD movies that and TV shows that I've bought. Well, I'll get upgraded to 4K automatically as long as they made a 4K version of it,
Right.
and get all that for free, right? I mean that, and not only that, but to just expand on that a little bit. So all future movies that you buy in 4K will be priced at HD prices, right?
Yep.
So the new movies that you get, you'll pay $19.99 or $14.99 depending on what the movie goes for, right? For a 4K version of it.
Yeah, I think those two things are huge, and that's going to be like you going to a 4K TV would be a great opportunity for you to switch ecosystems, right?
Oh,
you say, oh, I'm going to want to repurchase my favorite shows. I'm going to want them in 4K, so I might as well switch over to Amazon and get those again in 4K through Amazon. And now I've switched ecosystems, and it's really easy. That's a convenient time to do it. But they're stopping that right here by saying, hey, you don't even have to buy it again. You get it free. So
right.
I think that's huge. And I also love what they're doing with the price for two reasons. First of all, I think it makes a lot of sense. People are going to want it in 4K. You offer the functionality in 4K. Who's going to not want it in 4K? Because it's like me, even though I didn't ever have a 3D TV, I spent a few extra bucks to get 3D Blu-rays so that when I got a 3D TV, which obviously is never going to happen now, I wasted that extra few bucks. But if it had been the same price, boy, that would have been great. I did waste money by doing that. But so that's another huge feature that you get here. I love it, second of all, because that's going to help drive prices down across the board.
Yes.
If Apple's doing that, the odds are Amazon is going to be able to get some similar deal set up soon, too.
The odds are we're going to see another vendor somewhere say, yeah, we'll give you HDR and 4K for free, too, for all your old stuff. Because, people start jumping ship saying, well, I'm going to go over to these guys, and we're going to get these lower prices, too. Yeah, this is Apple flexing their muscles and to the benefit of everybody. So
yeah, and I think you're right. I don't think it'll be too long before we see Amazon doing this. Google will probably follow suit as well. I would say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So the other big thing that they announced were screensavers in 4K. Which actually, there are people who are obsessed with these stupid screensavers, and I call them stupid only because I have not seen them in person. But they're slow-mo screensavers.
Having an Apple TV, I got to say the screensavers are pretty breathtaking. When you see them. I mean, it's not something you're just going to sit there and watch for hours or anything like that, right? But it is kind of nice to see it, come up and all.
I wake up a lot of times at like 3:00 in the morning to see the Roku screensaver going by. It looks like a big city. And then I always wait until the Empire State Building comes by, because then there's King Kong up at the top.
Yeah, there's King Kong. There's Mary Poppins.
Yeah, Mary Poppins in the background.
There's several different movie icons that you see in that.
I just leave it on that one because it's like, meh, doesn't bother me. But no, I remember what did they call it on Android TV? They introduced it was like Dream Mode or something like that, where it would go to like really nice pictures and stuff like that. So I mean, screensavers, rock on. They're doing them in 4K. Yeah. Awesome.
It sounds silly, but yeah, it's amazing. It's just
I love the screensaver on my LG, or maybe it's the Fire TV. I don't even know which one it is that produces the screensaver, but I love it because like I'm sitting there. Pause it. The kids pause their show while they run off and do something, and I'm just kind of sitting there doing something on my phone or whatever, reading, and I look up and there's just amazing pictures kind of like fading in and out and stuff, and they've bought some super awesome imagery, so yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, that would be the Fire TV.
Okay, cool.
Yep. So
I think there's one more detail that happened, which is that Apple TV, the Apple TV software that you can, what do they call it? Is it called Apple TV?
tvOS.
The tvOS, or the program you launch on tvOS to try to be your TV.
The
Apple
the
TV.
TV app. The TV app. Yeah.
They've made a little minor update to there that you can say that I really like a sports team, and it will pop up on you automatically and say, "Hey, by the way, it's going. Your team is on right now, and they're live. You want me to switch to that? Make it nice and easy." And other things like you can now ask Siri if you wish, if you could tell you the score, and you could. And I love the example that I read somewhere. It said you can ask the Giants if they're winning or if they're losing, and the answer is they're always losing.
Yeah. Well, what it'll do too is it'll give you like a little preview of the live games that are going on, and it'll have like a little moniker up there that will say what the score is and how much time is left in the game and that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
That's a little thing, but this is the kind of stuff that, if they can start doing this for everything that you like, and and as long as this doesn't get annoying, notification hell, it's good.
And that is, they did say that you could turn that feature off if you wanted to.
That's an important thing.
Yep.
Thank you, Apple.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that to me that is the most important here for these companies, whether it be Apple or Amazon, Netflix or whatever, is that they start to realize, and maybe less Netflix, but PlayStation View and Sling TV, is that they start to realize that they are internet companies, and remember that, and not just replicate the experiences that you get in traditional TV, that you navigate to a show and watch the show. Like, remember, you have the full power of the web and programming anything that people can imagine. So create experiences like this that make their lives easier, better, more enjoyable, more interesting, and just simplify everything. That's what we need to start moving towards. And like, the companies have taken a very traditional approach to the solution, to the software that they use. I mean, Sling TV and PlayStation View, they're pretty similar. It's basically software built around an old style TV guide. PlayStation View scrolls vertically instead of horizontally, whatever. But ultimately, they're the same style and the same technology that you've had all along. It's just being streamed over the internet. They need to do these kinds of things in order to really win the day. The company that manages to do that kind of stuff the best, they're going to be the ones that become the front runner. And that's where Apple comes in. I mean, that's the thing Apple does, right? Like, Apple comes to the party a little later. They usually aren't coming out with the newest technology, but they come a little bit later. They do it better than anybody else, and they end up winning because of that. So hopefully that's not the case here, because I don't love Apple and don't want to see them win. But hey, if they do, great, because that just tends to spread to the others eventually as well. So
absolutely.
Well, I mean, if nothing else, I think they're setting a tone, right? They're setting a tone for that making 4K the same price as HD.
Mm-hmm.
So, on a side note, I found for the Apple or the Android TV box that I have, that has a ARM Cortex A53, which is a quad-core chip. And I looked up the comparison with the new Apple A10, and really the only difference is the A10 has integrated cellular, LTE. Okay, do you need that for your Apple TV? And it has integrated graphics. And honestly, I would want a separate graphics chip, but yeah.
Unless the company's cheap and didn't put anything good in. So.
Oh no, it's like the Xiaomi. I think that's got a NVIDIA chip, doesn't it?
You mean the Mi Box? No, it has a
it has
what do they call that?
I don't remember.
It's I can't remember. It's not a high end, but it's not low end. It's mid-grade.
It's okay. Yeah, so rock on that. So Apple, they joined the quad core family.
HD.
Well, apparently that's what you need for 4K apparently, and then the integrated graphics brings in the HDR.
Yeah.
Yep.
rock on. Was there any other thoughts? I think I kind of, I don't know. No?
Nope.
All right. Well,
Who set it off?
I guess.
I do plan on getting one, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that was
course.
going to be our question. Are you going to get one?
Yeah, I will get one, but I have to get a 4K television first. Or
Darn it.
But I'm planning on getting one anyway. Probably either next month in October or perhaps November. I'm getting a 4K television, and then probably right about that same time I'll pick up a 4K Apple TV as well.
Just so you know, if you get 4K stream to your box and it's downscaled to 1080p, even though you're not technically getting more pixels, you're getting more information being pushed to your screen, and it looks better. In fact, many people can't tell the difference between 4K streamed to a 1080p and actual 4K.
Yeah, I mean, all of what scale up 2 times, right? Is typically what they do, right?
They scale it down. If you're scaling down the 4K,
Yeah, because if you've
to
got
1080p.
4K content, you have to scale it down to show it on a 1080 screen.
Right.
I think I'm saying the same thing, but in reverse.
Yeah, you're talking about 1080p content on a 4K screen. You scale it up twice. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you do the opposite, it actually looks almost, if not as good, just as good as an actual 4K TV to most people. Yeah. I'm sure there are people out there like, no, that's just wrong, and whatever. Actually, people have done a little bit of study. It's because usually 1080p nowadays is compressed to heck, and you can't, so they're still getting a decent amount of compression out of it. I mean, sure, it's 1080p, but you still got some decently compressed stuff. And if 4K is not as compressed as much, and you still have more bits being sent at you, so if it's being brought down to a 1080p, it still looks great. So, more 4K content. I'm all for it. Bring up all those speeds. Get more faster internet. I'm all for it.
Yep.
Amen.
Absolutely.
And with that, let's do some rants and rapes. Okay.
Okay, I want to rant about this.
Can we rant about the bumper?
You can rant about whatever you want.
Okay, so I have a question for Mike, since you're the only one of us that has a 4K television.
Mm-hmm.
Your HDMI cord. Do you have to get a different HDMI cord for 4K?
Yes and no. I mean, you do need a moderately new HDMI cord because you need to have like a HDMI 2.0 or higher. But other than that, no. Like, so if you've got your HDMI cord in the last 4 years, you're probably fine.
Yeah, I think it's revision like 1.4 or something like that.
I was going to say, I think technically you can go down to 1.3, I think supports 4K. I think 1.4 supports 4K at 60 hertz.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2.0 is, I don't know that there's any real value out of 2.0. That's why I said if you go back like up to like 4 years, if it's purchased within the last 4 years, you'll probably be fine. Unless you're doing 60 hertz, and then you need to make sure it's 1.4.
If you go to your big box store, they'll be happy to sell you a cable for $50. If you go to monoprice.com, Monoprice, you're getting a free plug. They got really good cables for
about $1 a foot.
Cheap. Yeah.
You can get anywhere like Amazon, Monoprice, Newegg. You'll pay a small fraction of what you'll pay because the store, that's where they make their money, right? Like Best Buy has 1,000% markup on their HDMI cables. Like when I paid price plus 5%, I think it was like $5 for a cable that we sold for 30 or 40 bucks.
Just to give you a good idea, when I worked at CompUSA, as an employee, I was able to buy everything at cost. Not discount, just at flat cost. So I bought a lot of Belkin stuff because that Belkin Ethernet cable, 20 feet long, that's $50. Its actual cost was like $1.50.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a lot of markup.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So,
Belkin had the highest markup, so I always bought their stuff. because it was, yeah. But
So yeah, we're all ranting a little bit about what I wanted to rant about the cable situation, right? You know, you gotta. I mean, okay, good that we get 4K, right? I'm all for it. I'm about to, drop some money for a 4K television, but then, you got to worry about the cables too, right?
Yeah, well, you really don't unless you use you find out that your existing cables don't work for some reason, then you might need to. But
I mean, it is worth saying that, like, if you have a very old cable, you should upgrade it, because if it is not 1.4 or higher, then you probably don't have full support of the spec.
No.
And there's two components to HDMI support. There's the audio and the video, and you will lose out if you don't have that. So I just threw it in Amazon and got $10 for a 3-foot 2.0 cable, and that's not even looking. So
yeah,
there's no reason not to upgrade. Use a, don't go to the big box store, but upgrade to, if you don't have at least a 1.4, upgrade. And probably even 1.4 doesn't have full support of the audio, of the newer audio specs and stuff, and HDR support. So it's worth, if you get a nice TV and you're going to go with the Fire TV that has, or the Apple TV that has the support for HDR and stuff, it's probably worth paying an extra $10 to upgrade. That is assuming that you don't get an HDMI cable with the Apple TV. I don't know if they usually do that or not. But
I don't think so. No.
yeah.
Or you can, of course, go to bestbuy.com and order a 5-foot monster cable, black premium, HDMI with an Ethernet cable.
Is it
4K
$500?
support. No, it's only $100.
Oh,
$100. Wow. Yeah.
See, well, that was
It's-
going to be, like my point was, back in the day, Monster Cable made their fortune on analog cables, gold-plated, low resistance. Analog, that is important, absolutely. Right. But digital, yeah, it doesn't matter.
As long as
it doesn't matter if it's silver-plated, gold-plated, or just plain old, whatever pop metal they decided to make it out of. Probably nickel-plated, but yeah, it doesn't matter, because it's that data. It's all ones and zeros, and it's getting there.
It's there or it doesn't, period.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it doesn't get there, it just gets ignored. And
yeah.
So, all right. Was there anything else, Jimmy, or was that pretty much it?
Nope. That was pretty much it. Upgrading to 4K, and then you have to get a new stinking HDMI cable, right?
Yeah, I had a couple of cables that I used that did not work right. The audio didn't carry over and stuff. But honestly, even my old 1.1 cables actually worked fairly well. I did notice when I put in a new cable that there was better quality. So there was something about the way the image and the audio came across that it got better. So I would recommend spending the extra $5 to $10, whatever it costs, to upgrade, unless you bought them in the last couple of years, probably about 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's been longer than that for me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, who's up?
I've been, sitting and trying to relax after work every day, kind of crash on our couch and sit down and say, hey, what do you want to watch? And we've been watching our X-Files, and it's gotten really weird in season 3. I mean, really weird. So we're something else. I don't know.
So this is the original X-Files series.
Oh, yeah. We're starting. Go ahead.
Season 3 is where it starts to get good.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now we're on episode 3 or 4, whatever. The guy regurgitates onto its victims and to digest them before he sucks them dry. It's weird. So
those are the best episodes.
It's a little farther through that season, but season 3 is when it starts to get really good.
I'm sure it is, but we're early in the season.
Season 1 and season 2 are really monster of the week shows. It's a monster every week. It's very little continuity between episodes. There's very little of the storyline or the kind of the understanding of the overarching.
They kind of had to do that because there was no DVRs, and if you had an arc right off the bat, there's people that didn't see the first episode, they're never gonna watch it.
Right.
You know, if they don't have a chance to catch up. So, yeah.
But so my wife and I were just deciding what we wanted to watch, and we picked up the old original CSI show on CBS, and started watching that from the beginning as well, just as a filler show while we're doing something. They did a good job on that show. I remember when it first came out, going, "Oh man, they're being so graphic, and oh, there's so much stuff on there." And because I was a teenager when it came out, I believe. But looking back at it now, I am very impressed with that show. It holds up today. It's a very well made show. So I've been enjoying that. Other than that, there's some the hype machine is on for Star Trek Discovery, and I have not paid that much attention to much of it. I know those pictures and those clips coming out and things like that. But the one thing I couldn't stop myself from doing is listening to the new theme song they have for Star Trek Discovery. The
Is it a rock
orchestra's
song?
back. It is not a rock song. So it's all okay. All sins forgiven, right?
I'll go next because that ties into what I was going to talk about. Right before the show, I found out the Orville premiered on Sunday. So I watched it right before the show.
Oh, you have to tell us.
I watched it last night.
Yeah. It wasn't as silly as I had hoped it was going to be. I'd say it was kind of on par with like the first season of Red Dwarf before they really got silly and got fun. So it was closer. I'd say it was closer to real Star Trek than it was to what was the Space Quest movie with Tim Allen?
Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest.
Yeah, I'd say it was closer to real Star Trek than Galaxy Quest. And the visuals were awesome. The music, if I didn't know this was a parody, just by the music, I would have thought it was an actual Star Trek show. And you check it out. It's on Hulu or Fox Now, whatever you like to watch. It, like I said, it was a lot more. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed. I think there's room, but it's got more of kind of just I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching it.
It's not enough tongue in cheek.
No. What do you think, Jimmy?
I kind of agree with what you're saying there, Clyde. It was funny at spots, but it's not funny all the time. There are some serious parts to it. So it's kind of like Galaxy Quest. I think that's a good comparison. But with the actors that were in it, I mean, I was kind of. I don't know. I was kind of expecting it to be more like Spaceballs or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of almost felt like the first of the new Star Trek reboots, where there are funny moments, except take those funny moments and make the joke more crude, like but not like in the like straight all on Family Guy like I thought. Okay. Like mile a minute, but it's I don't know. The only reason I realized it came out was I happened to be on Rotten Tomatoes, and I saw something, and the critics gave it horrible reviews. But as usual, the actual people that watched it actually said, "Okay," and I watched it and I went, it's first episode. Yeah,
I thought it was pretty good. I saw it pop up in my Hulu feed.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to watch this one.
And it was funny because I decided, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch this. I turned on my Roku, and the ad on the side of the Roku was for the Orville on Fox Now. And I was like, I could have just clicked on that and just right from there and gone straight into it, but I went, I'll go to Hulu and look for it because I want to watch it without commercials.
Right, exactly.
There you go. All right. For me, it's still books. I've been reading Pilot X this last week and am almost done with it, like 90% of the way through the book, according to my Kindle, and it's outstanding. So there's this little known author, Tom Merritt. He's really good.
The name's familiar.
I think I've heard of that guy.
Technology. It is outstanding though. I'm really enjoying it. It's hard to put down.
So, how far along are you in it?
I am, according to Kindle, I think I am. I'll tell you exactly. 81%. Sorry, I have 1 hour and 8 minutes left, according to this.
So, is there a theatrical adaptation yet?
I want to see the movie.
Okay. Well, because speaking of that, one thing I completely forgot. I wanted to check in with you guys because, as we talked about before, I signed up for that movie pass. Well, I got my card the other day, and last night I decided to go watch a movie that I was a beloved book of mine that I read probably 20 years ago. It's a little-known movie called It.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Stephen King.
I walked into that movie theater expecting the worst because the movie industry is not kind to Stephen King's works. I walked out of there going, wow. I was a little bit confused for a bit, and then at the end, because then, as people probably talked about before the movie came out, it's actually going to be in 2 parts. And I was confused. I was like, there's something missing. And there's something big that's missing. And then it said, It chapter 1. And I went, at the end, I went, oh, it's hit me. Did you guys read it?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
I think I did a long time ago.
Because the story...
one of the previous iterations of shows or movies or miniseries
with Tim, what's his face as Pennywise, 1990.
That's right.
No, I remembered
if you're a chlorophobic, you don't want to see it. Right?
Yeah.
Well, no. The Wabbit Magic's question is good. Were you confused because you were expecting a show about an IT department?
Kind of. I thought it was the IT Crowd, the movie.
I'm looking for an image. It's so good here.
Yeah. No, but
why is there a clown? I don't understand.
As I walked out of the theater, I kept thinking, I was like, I know there's something missing from the movie, and how are they doing a sequel or a second chapter? And then I remembered, oh, wait, the story is told in 2 separate timelines, when they're kids and when they're adults. And it switches back and forth throughout the entire book. Well, the book is literally like that thick. It's one of his biggest books. And then it clicked and went, oh, they just told us the kid's story. They're going to tell us the adult story next time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and I liked it. I mean, for someone that has basically hated everything that Hollywood has ever done with Stephen King's works, with possible exception of Shawshank. I think they finally did one justice. So
good.
I don't know if this will work, but I'm gonna copy this and see if you guys can see it.
What's that?
No, it's not gonna work. I want to download this. Shoot, I want to link to this. How do I link to this?
What are you trying to do?
I want to show you guys the most amazing thing I've seen all day today.
Oh.
I want to get a shareable link to this. Okay. I want to share my screen. Just that's the way we're going to do this. Share screen. This.
Did you freeze?
Whoa.
Oh, no.
Okay, there we go. Oh, it took me a minute.
Earlier today and went, oh, this is so good.
Okay.
All right. That was fun. I wanted to show you that because it fit perfectly with the conversation.
IT Crowd. Yeah. Big fan of that show.
Go away.
Okay, I'm trying to. Really.
So the theme of this episode is Matt breaking the screen.
There you go. Yes.
Up,
I
up,
win.
up. Stop sharing. Up.
Oh, oh,
There.
sorry, I was looking at you guys.
Oh, there we go.
All right. Well, is that it? I think that's it. I don't have anything else to grumble about or be wishy-washy. If you haven't, go on out to the Showbot. We've got stuff to look at as far as titles. But hey, we will not be coming to you live next week over the Muffin CDN, but we will be back next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central. The question is just where. 90% chance it's going to be Twitch. As I said, watch our Twitter account at DC. Almost said DC Movie Party because that's coming up on Saturday. At the VOD Squad on Twitter, we'll make the official announcement soon once I figure out technical capabilities, and I think everything's ready to go. I just gotta be sure. And otherwise, past episodes, you can find them on YouTube. Just look for the VOD Squad. If you have any comments, complaints, anything, you just want to reach out and say hi, you can hit us up, thevodsquad@gmail.com, or on Twitter at thevodsquad. Until then, I guess I should have announced earlier that this Saturday is the next movie party. This one's going to be interesting because I still don't know exactly how I'm going to get it to everybody. But movie party, we will be watching a movie called Manborg, and the Roger Corman classic from the late 70s. Also, Sylvester Stallone's greatest role ever, Death Race 2000.
Ooh.
Oh.
So, and was it David Carradine? It was one of the Carradines.
David Carradine.
Yeah, David Carradine. And
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone. So, yeah, it'll be a good time. We will be figuring that out. And until then, everybody, thank you so much. We will check you next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.